What's up, YouTube? I wanted to give you guys a video today about filter socks, the importance of having the filter socks, some of the differences in the filter socks themselves, when to change them, and how to wash them when they're needed to be washed. So basically, to start, how often do you change your filter sock? Well, I like to change mine every 2 to 3 days. Now, some people can go a week, some people go 2 weeks, or whatnot, depending on your system itself, your bio load, and how much you're feeding and stuff like that, really determines how often you should change your filter sock. Now, if you're really not sure on the amount of your bio load, like let's say you only got a few fish and a few coral and not too much on a big tank, you could probably go a little longer without changing your filter sock. But a tank in, where I'm standing, it needs to be changed out at least 2 or 3 days. And a good indication that your filter sock needs to be changed is when the bubbling starts to come above the surface, and you can see where it's right where it's getting around the ring. And if you don't catch it on time, the little splashes over time will actually leave that like Salt Creek kind of looking stuff, where the splashes dry and turn white. It'll actually splash all the way up here if you don't catch it on time, or if I don't catch it on time. So that's why I like to change them out every 2 to 3 days. There is different micron filter socks that you can use. I use a 200 micron filter sock, but if you use anything that has a smaller hole, basically smaller than the 200 micron, you do risk of your sock clogging up a lot faster. Now, why do I change mine every 2 to 3 days? Because these things are referred to as a nitrate factory. Basically, when you feed your fish or your fish poo, after they eat the food, it goes into your water column and basically makes its way down the overflow, sometimes in large clumps, sometimes not. But when the large clumps come down, your filter sock will catch it for you, and it's better than letting it float and land inside your skimmer section, because your skimmer cannot remove everything that comes down in there, especially not the large particles. If you understand the process of how a skimmer works, it doesn't actually remove large pieces of food from your tank. It removes things that the eye can't see. And no matter, like I said, no matter how efficient, you can see this nice bubbly sticky skirt all the way around my skimmer. My skimmer is working extremely well. It's still not going to remove the large particles that come down from the water column. And with a heavy bio load like I have, I do plan on adding more fish. It's not that heavy yet, but the filter sock basically aids the skimmer. And another plus about having the filter sock is the micro bubbles that happen from the splashing of the water coming down from the display into the skimmer section. Now, a lot of people like to incorporate the Herbie method, which is basically a full siphon, and you can put it down into the water and it won't make a splash at all, and therefore they won't use filter socks. Now, that's one way of doing it, and one way I choose not to do it. Basically because I don't want to be siphoning out my skimmer section more than I have to. Basically, put a filter sock on and you won't have to do it more than you have to. So just to talk a little bit of the differences in the filter sock, you can see the BRS filter sock actually has a stitching going around the ring. The Trigger Systems filter sock is crimped, and the eShops filter sock is crimped. One thing I don't like about the eShops is it actually has a seam without any stitchings going down the bottom. I think that's at risk of it popping open, so I'm not going to be buying any more of these eShops filter socks. I'll probably be more or less leaning towards the BRS filter sock, just because you can easily repair it with a needle and thread if it starts to split from the ring. And that would happen after using them so much and washing them so much. Just things wear and tear, just like your clothes. Your jeans get holes and your shirts don't fit, and stuff like that. They get stretched out, shrinked, and stuff like that in the washer. So it's the same concept. So if you have the plastic crimps, you're probably going to end up throwing them away sooner than you would the ones with the stitching. Now, one thing I do like to do before I wash my filter socks is I let them dry out. I let them dry so everything that's inside of them becomes kind of a dust, and then I turn the filter sock inside out. I'll take it outside and I'll beat it like a rug, just to get all this stuff out of the cracks, just so that when you throw it in the washer or you wash it by hand, whichever method you choose to do to wash your filter sock, you get most of that stuff out of the crack. And I believe it's going to be a little cleaner than it was if you just threw it in there, threw it in your washer like this, because all that stuff that's trapped in there is going to stay trapped in there. So flip it inside out, get out the sand and the fine particles that are in between the seams. What I like to do is I like to run I live in an apartment building, so I like to run my washer once with hot water and a little bit of bleach just to remove any detergent or anything that's been caked in there, or when people wash their clothes, they spill that stuff everywhere. So that's just to give it a nice rinse to make sure none of it gets onto my filter socks. And then when it's ready, I'll get as many filter socks as I have. Besides, make sure you have one or two, which is a good thing too, guys, to have extra filter socks. Even if you got to put them in the closet, just have the extra ones on hand. It's a good thing. So basically, I'll grab everything I have. Make sure you have a good load too, because you don't want to be wasting money washing 2-3 filter socks at once. You're better off washing anywhere between 5 to 10. Washing machines are big, guys, so if they can wash a big blanket, they can handle 10 filter socks. So what I do is I'll fill it up on hot, and I'll put a cap full of bleach inside the wash with the filter socks. And usually when they're done, they come out pretty white, pretty clean. They're not going to be exactly perfect, guys, because after time of having these filter socks, you're not going to get that whiteness back every time you wash them. But the good thing is you are removing the nitrates and the phosphates that build up on them. And then after they come out the wash, I like to hang them for 3, 4, or 5 days, depends on when they're needed. But I'll let them sit out in the open. Never wash them and then stick them inside something where they can't get fresh air, because you want the bleach or whatever you added, well, basically the bleach that you wash them with, to actually dissipate in the air and come off of the filter sock, because it is like an alcohol. If you let it air dry, it'll basically eventually disappear off the filter sock. It won't be on there. But that's just one way I do it, guys. Another quick tip, I added filter floss over here, so this is another way that I do my nutrient export, is basically with that filter floss there. And what that is, that's just one of these pads that I cut the size. This is what it looked like, and then I ripped them apart and I made 2 sheets. And you can see my large bag here. I made them into a bunch of sizes that fit that little media section I have there in my sump. So that's just a quick discussion on filter sock, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Happy reefing.